Good afternoon. I'm Sally. I'm the business manager at The Mortgage Mum and a senior broker.
And I'm Kim, and I'm a senior broker at The Mortgage Mum.
And we would love to talk to you today about that subject. Sarah Tucker, who is our founder, who you might well know from social media, she's quite prolific. She should have been here today, but she's actually just had her third baby. So understandably, she had to sort of duck out. So you got us. I don't know if that's
Good or bad?
good or bad. We'll be taking a vote at the end. But yes, we would love to try and explain a little bit about the Mortgage Mum and our own brand of magic. So, what is the Mortgage Mum? We slip on. There's Alfie. Oh, look, there's us.
Oh, we're on the right side. Well, Anton Deck.
Yes, we are very sympathetic. What is the Mortgage Mum? Well, it was founded in 2019 by Sarah Tucker, so we are a very, very young company. We're multi-award winning. We won 8 separate awards last year, and we are up for, at the moment, I think another 6 this year, because it's award season coming up. In fact, I've just done an interview with Mortgage Strategy for the shortlist of Best Broker. Not me, Best Brokerage, I should say. So that was done in the foyer, which is quite interesting with the wind blowing my hair. But we couldn't miss out this opportunity of being here with you today. The company has had a meteoric rise to success, it's fair to say. And this is really just down to the values that we have. Sarah was absolutely unapologetic in what she wanted to set up. And she has continued that through. And we're quite innovative in what we do. We're all female brokers. Okay, I'm going to pause for a gasp. Thank you. Very nice. You get a gold star. And we're based across the whole nation. We've just taken on another recruit who's actually Cumbria. I think it's as far north as we go at the moment. We're north, south, east, west. This means that we can actually connect with our local communities. There is no reason why anyone in the UK can't experience the Mortgage Mum magic, I'll use it again, just because they're not in the southeast or they're not in London. We have specialist brokers who work for every single member of the community, whether that be buy-to-let landlord, a first-time buyer, a remortgage, a panicky product transfer. Everybody can get involved and be involved with us. We specialise in mortgages and protection, but we also now do later life lending, and we will be venturing into specialist finance as well. We found that the industry was lacking in certain aspects, and what we bring to the table is as applicable to mortgages as it is to later life, equity release, specialist, protection, the whole shebang. So that's what we're now doing for the future. We offer a unique online customer journey. That's quite a big USP. We were the first people to do Zoom meetings, fact-find meetings and presentations. This was way before the pandemic. Obviously now everyone else has caught on, but we were doing it first. It means that we can fit around you, we can fit around your schedule, your timings, and also our brokers who work flexibly. I should say they're not part-time, they're full-time, but they work flexibly, meaning that they can schedule appointments when it suits them, for their families and their other commitments, and also when it suits you guys. Well, not you guys, our clients.
Yeah. So why was the Mortgage Mum set up? So Sarah Tucker was a working broker. She was a brilliant broker. She was also a very busy mum of 2. And she became known locally as the Mortgage Mum at the school gates. Now, her career was important to her, but her children were important to her as well. And she found that the way the traditional broking worked just didn't enable her to be there for her children as much as she wanted to. She felt she was very much pulled in one direction or the other and couldn't really give 100% to either. She knew that she wanted to be able to work flexibly. Ideally, she wanted to be able to work from home. And she strongly believed that by doing that wouldn't make her any less of a broker. In fact, it would do exactly the opposite. By having that flexibility and enabling her to spend time with her children and her family that she wanted to, she'd actually then be able to give her clients an even more amazing service. She realised that there were lots of women like her out there, women who were being lost by the industry, we see it everywhere. It is illegal to discriminate against women for having a family, but it does happen. Going back to work flexibly after maternity leave is something that is still very, very difficult to do in a lot of industries, not just our industry, but particularly in our industry. It's just not set up to enable women to have that flexibility. And it's not just about women with families. The mortgage mums, we're not all mums. Some of us have caring responsibilities, have other businesses, have other things that we want to flex around in our life. And Sarah understood that this was going to be an opportunity. She took the idea to Jamie Lewis, who was a successful brokerage owner in the local area, and luckily he said yes and decided to set it up with her. And that's where the story begins.
Yeah. Thank goodness for Jamie. He believed when a lot of people didn't. Now, the finance industry, no surprise, is very male-dominated. Of course. And we believe it hasn't really evolved like other industries, for example, tech. When we set it up, when Sarah set it up, there were still brokerages working from paper files, not embracing Zoom, not having client records computerised or digitised. And she saw a big gap, another gap, where actually we could really go forward and be the 21st century version of the industry, and it was really important to do so. She felt that the procedures and customer service provided by a lot of brokers was not what she would want to experience, and therefore she wanted to do something differently, because otherwise it was a poorer client outcome, and that was important to her as well. Now, why women? Well, obviously, she was a mum. It suited her to set up something that was flexible. And as Kim has said, there's a lot of women out there who we lose from the industry because it's just not set up for them to flex and to do both roles. With women, we feel, and this might be contentious, that we are just naturally good at advising. We have a certain skill set. And I'm not saying that men don't, but women can be naturally more empathetic. I don't know if I'm going to get any nods on this one. We're natural jugglers, especially if we're mothers, because frankly, that is our life, from dawn to dusk. And we like to solve problems. If you ever get women together in a bar, they will talk forever and sort their problems out and divulge all sorts of things and expect a solution. We like to get to the nitty-gritty. We like to find out what makes you tick and how we can help. We like to offer solutions. And the more diversity we have in the industry, the more people we can reach out to and help. A lot of people, we find, come to us and say, oh, it's so nice to talk to someone who listens, who understands, who's not just trying to write the case. You're spending time with them, really getting to know them. And I think some people just find it easier to talk to a female, perhaps. That's the feedback that we get. I can only say that that's the feedback we get from clients. They're more comfortable asking for advice, perhaps. And the more comfortable the client is, the better the outcome again. Also, it was very important, Sarah realised that there was a lack of education, a lack of knowledge displayed by clients. There's a bit of shame attached to it. People feel that they should know how to get a mortgage for themselves. They don't. It's not taught. It certainly wasn't taught when I was at school, as my son says back in the dark ages when you rode to school on a dinosaur. Thanks. But it's not taught enough. It's not talked about enough at home either. So education is really important. And we want our clients to leave our meetings knowing more, because if you know more, you are empowered to take control, take ownership, which is a really important thing, especially for women, because quite often they don't. They have partners who say, I'll do that. I'll look after the money. I'll look after the mortgage. And there's no reason why, it can't be completely equal. So we are very, very interested in education. We approach schools. We do workshops, because the sooner you get people to understand finance, personal finance, the more empowered they are and they make better choices, which is really important.
But it definitely wasn't easy for Sarah to grow the business, or for any of us to grow the business. The first stumbling block we had was that the industry wasn't taking us seriously. Phrases like, you're trying to make mortgages pink, were not helpful. Just because a brand is pink or is feminine or is run by a woman doesn't give it any less gravitas. We were not about making mortgages pink. Our mission was to empower, to educate our clients, to educate our brokers, and to make everyone feel seen and heard and held. But just with that extra empathy and understanding that a woman would bring. Our focus was always on absolute stellar customer service, and throughout that has been the focus of absolutely everything. Not for being pink at all. We were exacting brokers. All of us are very exacting brokers. We really care about the outcome for each of our clients, and we will fight tooth and nail if we believe that something is in the right interest of our clients. So believe me, it's not all pink and fluffy. The brand might have pink in it, but we're definitely not about making mortgages pink. But that was one of the first stumbling blocks, was to kind of get the industry to actually take us seriously, which we believe now they do.
Yeah, I think to start with, they weren't a joke, but it was sort of, there was a slight element of, there, well done, nice try, slightly condescending, perhaps. But the weird thing is that consumers got it from the very, very get-go. They just loved it. Yeah, and we thought, well, we must be doing something right, because the feedback and the reviews we get are absolutely stellar. So consumers understood, the industry didn't, and there were comments, apart from the pink ones, about, well, why reinvent the wheel? Well, because the wheel needs some slick tyres on it, frankly. It needs some slick tyres, and that's what we do.
Obviously, at this time, remember this was pre-pandemic, so the way that Sarah and Jamie proposed working, doing everything remotely, working from home, doing everything online, was very different and very scary for some networks. They didn't like the fact that we weren't meeting with clients face-to-face all the time, that we weren't in an office, that we weren't having those conversations in the way that had always been done. Change can often be frightening for people, and I think it was definitely seen as a risk. We were the first, as Sally said, to embrace technology like Zoom, like Teams, and like kind of sharing platforms for brokers to share files and folders and things like that. Ironically, it took a global pandemic for it to be so, but the world and industry knows that now having that flex and working from home and being online is not detrimental to the service that you offer and the way that you work. In fact, absolutely the opposite. I know many colleagues who would commute for hours each day, and that's time that is essentially lost. If you're at home and your commute is essentially to your spare room or to your home office or even a co-working space down the road, people can be much more productive than they were before. So not being a detrimental thing, it has actually done completely the reverse. And it's now seen, obviously, as very commonplace for meetings to be held over Zoom and Teams and for things to be done in that way. But when they first set this up, it was a very new thing, and it was seen as a risk by many.
I've just thought of something else to add in. I do this. What we had to be careful of with all this remote working and being sort of islands is that we didn't lose that culture, that we had a really, really strong base. And Sarah particularly worked tirelessly to make sure that we meet up in person at least 4 times a year. In fact, we were in London yesterday at HSBC having our quarterly face-to-face, which always ends up in the bar, the pub. But it is important because it can be lonely. Broking is it's hard work, as I'm sure lots of people will attest. It can be quite isolating working at home. So we have internal structures, we have mastermind groups, we have buddies, we have mentors within the building. We don't have a building. Within the company, especially now that we're 30 plus people, just to try and keep that connection and that flow of ideas and feedback. It's so important for our growth, and I think that's something that's really helped our growth in the last year. I've just thought of that one. Quite good. So, as I said earlier, if we see a gap, we think, well, why not? Why not apply the mortgage magic to that gap? So clients come to us, they don't just need a mortgage, They need buy-to-let, they need £1 million plus mortgages, they need commercial mortgages, later life lending, protection, all those things. So that's our next mission, and we have 3 new divisions literally just being set up. So expect us, you'll be so fed up with us, we'll be everywhere.
So how did the business grow so quickly? From the very beginning, Sarah's mission was to dream big. She wanted this to be a national brand, and she was not going to stop until it became so. She was never afraid of change, never would take no for an answer. She challenged the norm and wouldn't stop until she managed to change it and make it better. We continue to push boundaries. She pushed them from the very beginning, and we continue to do so now, but always with those clients in the forefront of everything that we do. They started with 2 directors and 4 brokers working remotely. Fast forward 3 years, and we have the same 2 directors, but we also have a whole management team. We now have 27 brokers working across the country, and we have an in-house protection team, we have 3 case handlers, and we have an account manager. So we really are now a truly national brand, and Sarah's original vision has come to life. But the original drive, determination and enthusiasm of those 2 directors and 4 brokers is there in everybody. We really take pride in the brokers that we recruit. We want to recruit people that have the same drive, that same enthusiasm and the same determination to have the stellar outcomes for their clients, but also to educate, empower and question the norm and break through barriers themselves. We also champion other business owners, some female, some local, to outsource services to as well, and we will continue to do that. We've got pride in recruiting the best of the best, and as Sally said at the beginning, we've been nominated for many awards, both as a brokerage but also as individual brokers. And I think part of the real magic is that we are all there supporting each other. So as soon as somebody gets nominated for something, all of that whole team is then behind them, encouraging them and cheering them on, which is something that is really a unique part of what we do and why we do it. So we have become this national brand. We now have people all over the country, and throughout it all, the one thing that has catapulted us above everything is media and social media and marketing. Yeah,
this is my favourite bit. Oh my God, who put that photo up? She did. Please don't do that. Just a little snapshot, and the bold claim, the household name, which was Sarah's vision, and we are unapologetic about that. We want to be, I hate to use it, but I said it in my interview earlier, the Sheila's Wheels, if anyone remembers that. Annoying jingle, don't know if there's anyone from Sheila's Wheels here, insurance, but they were everywhere. You thought insurance, female insurance, you thought Sheila's Wheels. Well, I certainly did. And media we have embraced from the beginning. We are social media queens. That is how we get our leads. We don't buy them, we don't pay for them. They're all organic, which is pretty much unheard of. And in 2022, we doubled our leads that come in just by our presence. We are the queens of Instagram and all social media channels. Sarah, she's on maternity leave, she's still posting. She's still posting and singing. She sings on them. So we have been, I'm not going to tell you everything, but this morning, Phil and Holly, at least 3 times on BBC Breakfast, Jeremy Vine, him, and all the major BBC radio stations. We have podcasts. We have now got 77 podcast episodes with 40,000 downloads, which is pretty impressive for a very small, fairly niche company. We're not just in the financial press. We also have columns and columnists in magazines like Glamour, Good Housekeeping. We are on the Mortgage Industry Mental Health Institute. I think I've just done a podcast for that. There's so many acronyms, I get confused. And we've launched a diversity programme with, not the dance group, with Bright Star. So we're trying to really push forward in all avenues It's really important to us. It's our bread and butter, and we love it. We really like it because you can connect with your audience. If you're sitting behind a desk and waiting for people to walk in, you're not going to get your ideal client. We've got to go out there, be loud and proud about who we are, what we offer, and then people are attracted to that. And it's one of the basic principles of marketing, isn't it, really? I know you're going to talk about that. We've just finished a residency at the Ideal Home Show in partnership with ITV. So we were very, very pleased to be asked to do that. It was just over 2 weeks. Kim and I headed it up, and we were speaking on the Superstage as well. We ran the Expert Hub, which meant that we had 2 different brokers every single day of the show, 17 long days, to offer advice, free advice, half-hour sessions with anybody who wanted to wander in or pre-book an appointment, which is amazing. You know, that's investing your time and effort, not a great deal of money, but your time and effort. And I think what people want is to see that from the services that they engage with. Anyone, well, we can't, so we don't have a budget, but anyone can throw money at a campaign. But it takes, you've got to be savvy, you've got to be clever and understand what your USPs and what your personality is. And I think that's something that Sarah absolutely got right. So yeah, I love it. We've got an in-house media team now. Kim and I head that up. And this week, in fact, you're speaking tomorrow at FSE. We've got today, obviously. Thank you, Gordon. And I've got a podcast on Friday with On the Market. So we're constantly talking. Plugging away, because guess what? It's free advertising. It's just our time and our ability. It's genius. I mean, it's just so simple. So get yourselves on Instagram if you want to build a following. But there were some points of difference, I think.
So what does make us different? Why do clients choose to work with Mortgage Mum? So from the very outset, they work with a single broker who is invested in them. We firmly believe in quality over quantity. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't do the quantity, but we're not churning out mortgages like a sausage machine. We are really caring about each and every client and getting the best outcome for them. We work with them over long periods of time and see them very much as clients for life. So we want to make sure that we're thinking about not only what's right for them now, but really taking the time to get to know and understand what is going to be right for them in the future. We really believe that a house is not just bricks and mortar, and a mortgage is not just about the cheapest interest rate. It's all about working out what the best outcome for each of those clients is. Particularly over the last few months, it's been a turbulent time, I'd say. And after the mini budget, there was a lot of panic. There was a lot of clients who just needed to feel heard. A lot of them didn't actually result in any business being written at that moment, but they needed to know that they could pick up the phone to somebody and that they would be listened to, and that they would not be panicked into making decisions that were not right for them. The media, although we love the media is also very, very good at spinning a story. When interest rates went through the roof, we heard about it every single day. Now that they're coming down, we don't hear about it very often. So it's up to us to educate and empower our clients, and that's what we do really, really well.
And we are specialists. It's important, I think, exactly as you said, sometimes we're counsellors. Yes, we love to write the business. There's nothing like it, that feeling, but we do counsel people and give advice. Advising is what we do best. We have dedicated case management as well, which is really important, because once that offer comes through, quite often brokers just take a step back and are on to the next. But that's not the same for the journey of the client. That's when actually everything can fall apart. So we have dedicated case managers who then hold their hand, calling them by the name that they want, not Mrs. Jones or whatever, who understand their background, their case history, and then take over from the broker and hold their hand through the whole process, because it takes up to 3-4 months to go through to completion. That's a long time where you don't have that interaction with your your broker necessarily. So it's really important that they have that continuity of care. Oh, I like that, continuity of care. I like that. We are very, very experienced in what we do. We like to be role models. We want other women to look at what we're doing and say, oh, do you know what? I think I'd like to be a mortgage broker. Now, that doesn't happen. I didn't go to school and say, what do you want to do when you grow up? I'm going to be a mortgage broker. It's not a role that is talked about or highlighted enough. And it's the best job in the world, really, if you've got the right company behind you, perhaps.
We're also diversity and inclusion champions, and have been shortlisted for awards for that, and are leading the way in how the industry should operate. And that manifests itself both in how we treat our brokers, but also in how we treat our clients. We have bilingual brokers, and just ensure that our clients' needs are met and that our brokers feel that working with us is a safe space.
Absolutely. We feel that women are underrepresented. I'm not going to bang on about that too much, but I've already said it a few times. And people say to us, well, it's all about equality. Well, equality starts, I think, with equity. And when we have the equity as women, then we can look a little bit further at perhaps equality, contentious again. But it's really, really important to us to develop and promote women in the industry because we are underrepresented. Education, so important. We want to educate clients, children, each other. It's a really big theme in the company. We lift as we climb, but we also empower each other with sharing our knowledge. I always say that when you know more, you do more, and when you know better, you do better. So if you take anything away from this today, maybe that's a good one.
Money and finances particularly are emotional subjects, and we take time to ensure that our clients really don't feel judged. They can often feel that an amount of shame for things like adverse credit or things that they have done in the past that they don't necessarily want to admit to. So we really do take that time to unpick those very delicate subjects and emotions and work really hard to make sure that they don't feel judged and that they understand that it's a really safe place to work with us.
I know we're running out of time because I'm getting the signals, so we're going to have to rush this next bit. I'm so sorry, but we are available out afterwards. We can just redo it in the hallway. So we'll jump straight into what's next. It's been a turbulent time. Kim's mentioned that. In January, the Bank of England said that there was £2 billion in mortgage lending. We have felt very, very busy in the first quarter of this year, but it's interesting to note that in February, the amount of lending went down to 700 million. So we're doing an awful lot, and we all are doing an awful lot for not much return at the moment. And I don't know about you guys, but it feels like it. So it's a difficult time to navigate. So we are just keeping pushing on, building that brand, building our presence, encouraging people to be, educated to help people through this time. That's where our real counselling comes in. We are adaptable, we change, we move forward, we evolve.
And we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk when it comes to flexibility as well. Whether that's children, second jobs, caring, whatever it is, there are times in people's lives and in our brokers' lives where they're going to need time, they're going to need time out. And Sarah is a prime example of this. It's really important that she is felt able to take proper maternity leave and spend time with that precious third baby. And so she's able to do that. But equally, we have brokers who have health conditions, who maybe need some time out, and trying to juggle that alongside working just adds to their stress levels. So really, we enable them to then take time out and come back to work when it's easy. Life is difficult, life is messy, work should not be, it shouldn't add to that.
And I know you want to stop there.
Yes.
So there we are, link in with us on social media.